Hey YouTube, this is David, Richter Scale Studios. I am back. It's been, probably almost a month at least. This is an update on the polished turd Landspeeders. If you recall, this is part of a series. Got these at a swap meet in Sacramento, Great Escape Games. They were all green and screwed up. And if you go through my past videos, I've been rehabbing them and get everything primed and ready to go. Last night, my buddy Mike Hammett had a Google Hangout with Mario from War Gamers Consortium, and I hung out with them, and I haven't touched my hobby in a long time, so I sat down and got these bases going a little further. So this is going to be a little part on that. Basically, if you saw these are 3/8 rods with 1/4 inch magnets in them, so they'll give them a little more sturdiness, and also they come off the base completely, so they'll be able to transport easily. And I'm just doing like a basic, like my board over here. It's basically a desert themed. Where you see it? Where is my board? In the background there. There you go. I'm just trying to lift up the tripod, and just kind of go with my. I have like a whole setup all the time with orcs and ultramarines going at it in my hobby room, and I kind of wanted us to kind of go with that theme. So these are going to be a basic desert base. Hot glued these. I have this bags of different batches of slate I made, and this is super Sculpey and Sculpey. I rolled it really thin, layered it, folded it, layered it, and rolled it out, then baked it, and it gives you a really cool, like, authentic slate look, as you can see there. And just basically take a hobby knife to it, or a thicker, basically something like this. This is a Husky with one of the drywall blades in it. Just go into it and score it and break it down so it gives it the layers you want. Then I have a sand mix of, this is usually stuff that's over the couple of years of being back in the hobby, of sand and different kinds of grits that I wind up getting poured into a bag, and I kind of have my own little custom mix because you see there's like some metallic flake in there, and just to give it some interest. So that is it for that. We're going to be back. I'm going to go down and prime them, and I'm probably going to go through my little. I have a just a junky bits box. These are from eBay purchases and stuff from conversions, and just pick stuff out and probably glue a couple pieces on there to add a little more detail. And let's see, grab a land speeder for people who haven't seen these yet. You'll see that I had to custom make these rods to go onto the steps, and they kind of sit right on. There's a little magnet I've embedded into the. So it's not completely solid, but it's enough that put this on camera. I can move it around the game table, no problem. And it kind of actually, that's a pretty solid one. There must be ones that are ones that just kind of wobble a little bit, so they look like they're floating. Yeah, because those are 1/4 inch magnet in that one, and that one, so you can just touch it a little bit, but you can still lift it up. So I'm going to get back to getting these primed, and then we'll start painting these, and then we'll go from there. Thank you for joining me. Hey YouTube, we're back. We're starting to paint. Let me show you what we are starting with. I had a little bit of a mishap downstairs. I've been some old cans of Army Painter paint, and first I went over to black, not a problem. The Army Painter paint shook the crap out of it, and it's a nice day here. It's in the 70s. Spitted a lot, so it's not a setback or anything. It just looks crappy. Hopefully I wasn't doing a finishing coat with anything with it, but so I gave it like a little zenithal primer in there. It's all black, then just went on top of it with a dusting of white to just give it some show the detail out while I'm painting it. And right now I'm using as the base coat, I want to get some dark colors on. So this is Model Air Mahogany, and I'm running a couple drops of this is golden airbrush thinner I put this in my own bottle so I can control the way I dispense it, because I can go by the drops. It's really easy that way. I'm running about 25 pounds of pressure, and now we're getting some paint out of it now. You can see we're slowly just putting light coats on here. You can see to make sure there's paint coming out of this thing. This is a really almost like a reddish maroon brown, I think I call it. And you can see we're slowly transitioning from the grays and the black to this really, really rich brown red color. Now we're having a little bit of problems with those. A little bit of those white spots are still showing through, but we're going to be doing more coats of paint, lighter paint. Going to go through there, just getting those deep crevices. Some of the black areas I'm not too worried about. I want to keep them shadowed. There, just all of a sudden it is reddish brown in front of your eyes. So I'm going to get the rest of these 5 done, and we'll come back and show you the next step. See you in a second. Okay, we are back. I just had to switch airbrushes too. I bought one of those cheap master, I think it's a G23 or 33 with the 3 needles. They are junk. I was running so much pressure that thing. I had that cleaned, everything. So I got the trusty Patriot 105. People out there, if you want a workhorse brush, nothing compares to this for price. Want something very versatile? This one over here. This is the Grex. Very nice brush, very heavy. But my 2 favorite brushes has to be the Patriot 105 and the Sotar for doing detail work. I'm running this. I had the other one up to 20 pounds. It's not getting crap out of it. Or no, 40 pounds. Got this around 1920. I'm running still doing everything with my golden airbrush thinner. Not using water. I like using real thinners on this stuff. Now we're down to mud brown. We went from the mahogany to the mud brown. We'll start doing some highlighting on these. Try to keep that in film. And get a little bit closer there. There we go. And I'm just gonna it's just so much nice having control over the brush. I just thought it was me. It's not a crappy airbrush. 26 bucks. It still wasn't worth the hectic. For 3 times the price, you're gonna get this is a tank. And you can see here, I'm just kind of lightening up these little areas that are flat and rocks. We're gonna go in with washes later too to bring some more of the detail out. I'm just going to do a basic 3 highlight on this thing. We're not doing anything too crazy. Actually 3 highlight colors, then we're going to probably go and do some edge highlighting with some bone white, just to really bring out some of the areas. I think that looks kind of cool. I'm going to grab one more to show you what it looks like again. All my bases are kind of different. This has got like 3 little plateaus of shale or whatever you want to call it. So let's go around the edges of it first, just to bring out a little bit of life. Then on these edges here, and try to get inside. This is a 0.3 needle, and you still have a lot of control because this is not still super detailed. Just filling in rocks, trying to get some of the layers done, catching the edges of the base just to give a little more interest. Show you what we're getting against here. So this is how it started out, and this is. You can see already a lot of life coming to the base already. So I'm going to go and finish the rest of these 5, and then we'll start the 3rd highlight. Okay, we are back. Our final little layer of a highlight is US Sand by Model Air, and still fitting with the golden airbrush medium. Liquitex has got one that's kind of similar to it. You don't need to go really fancy. I've gone and bought all of them, and I'm kind of sticking with that one right now. I'm trying to limit my paint palette as I'm getting more and more in the hobby. After being leaving the hobby since I was probably 13, getting back 3 years ago, so it's 43. Big 30-year hiatus, and having more money than I did when I was 13, I went and bought a lot of stuff I didn't. But I'm going to slowly show you what I'm going to be keeping. Definitely the Vallejo Air colors, and I like all the Vallejo range. I really like the Reaper range too, and that is about it. Some of the GW technical paints and P3s are really nice. Minotaurs, hit or miss. I'm probably going to use those on terrain just to get through them, but I'm not really digging them. But it might just be me too. It's usually everyone that digs their own thing. So we got the US sand. So we already got it highlighted now. I'm going to do a light dusting first. This is almost like dry brushing. And you just don't want you want kind of almost a zenithal dry brush on there. Then I'm going to go in and get these rock tops. Get them nice, especially the big flat edges that are exposed to the light. So they really stand out from the rest of the little, I guess it's like a little scene if you think about it. This is a pretty big base, probably about 60 millimeters at least. Maybe catch more of the edges on the base just to give it a little more life. I kind of like doing it away from me up. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get in really close. This is where when you start getting your ability, I don't know how we can get in here and see this. There you go. I got air on all the way. I'm slowly pulling for paint. And see how I'm kind of just going in there, kind of just filling in the rock, but let it feather out. And then we have a nice little highlight there. Then I'm going to go on this bottom part. Just kind of just fill in the middle, a little more pigment, like this little step here. Then up here we're going to do it really big. And just like right when you feel the paint come out, and do it more coats, you'll notice sometimes you'll pull it away and it'll dry and it'll kind of fade into the background. That might be what you want, but then you can go back in. Like in everything in art and in life, less is more. So you have this really, really cool thing. So I can go back in here, this area here, and go in the very middle and just kind of fill that in so it's got a nice natural highlight to it. I don't know if the camera's picking this up correctly or not. My monitor on my little Canon camcorder is very bright. And it doesn't really show the difference in detail. And I can see right here I want to maybe just a little more. To lighten that up a little bit. There. Let's do one more real quick for you. So we have a little more a different, try to make all these bases slightly different. So we're just do the dusting first. This is kind of like, like I said, like a fast dry brush. And these little flat areas, even like these, see, like this stone's got different levels to it, so we're not going to hit it all the same way, a little bit of a space between them. So now that space where you see my needles pointing to, it's a little ledge, or like maybe a slope. But I want to, let me run out of paint here. So I want to keep that a little bit of a dark shadow between those two spots. I think I'm running out of paint. Kind of just trying to finish this bad boy off before I have to get in the middle there. Get these edges. Kind of get that highlighted on that a little bit separate, so you have a little bit of shadowing natural in the rock. I like maybe get this little highlighted here going. And a little more there. Pick out some of these little. This one's got a lot of the bigger little rocks. I don't know how to pronounce how I want to say that, but I used that one mix that I showed earlier when I made these, and this has had a lot of bigger chunks in it. Well, there you go. You get the general idea of what I'm trying to do here. And I'm going to come back and do some hard edge highlighting, possibly some like overbrushing, just to get some more detail, get these things to pop a little bit. And we'll see you in a second. Thanks. Hey, we're back. We're going to start trying to get the details out of these rocks. Okay, here is this airbrush base, the three colors that we highlighted up with. Then I came back. I'm using just Vallejo Game Color Bone White. Everyone's pretty familiar with that color. And I'm using it on a wet palette with Biba paper towel and baking parchment paper, not wax paper. I started getting rid of the Stay Wet yellow sponges because those start getting corroded, especially when I started using any kind of strange washes or like thinners and mediums in it. It got it lost its sponginess and started like melting. It's just weird. Okay, then I'm doing two. I just want to show you two examples real quick. This one I came back, as you can see, on this side right here in my hand. I did a little light dry brushing with a bigger dry brush. This is an Army Painter brush, and it brings out the detail. It's more subtle and more realistic. But for game or for tabletop, I'm going to show you. Okay, we'll bring out this one. I brought out a liner brush. This is some people are familiar with this. You don't really need this one, but it kind of helps with getting in there doing high detail. And as you can see here, this one you can see there's really stark highlight lines, edge highlighting it. I wouldn't want to use my good brushes doing that because you're really kind of cutting them and tearing at the sides. I'll show you here. See, it's slightly more stark on my right hand. These heavier lines. And I think that's what I'm going for. I want to get that. Also, we can knock it back with a wash later to get some more of the detail inside the sand and other particles that are glued down. And then we'll go in with the grass work and stuff like that. So I'll show you what I'm going to start with. Let's get these out of the way. Okay, we'll start with these two new ones. So I'll just grab one of these. Let's get one of my little things. See if we can get this thing a little bit closer. Oops, not the right way. There. Right here. Let's do this. Cool. So got the liner brush. Get a little bit of paint on there. And make sure it's... And it's basically very simple. Just get your... base at a angle, just kind of run it on the edges, and you can go back and get more if you want later, because sometimes it will, when it dries, it does kind of fade a little bit. But you'll see how this brings us all to life real quick. And see, I could do like a real edge like that, or pull it away from you, and then you can thicken the line up a little bit, so you have a little more control of what you're doing. And just keep working with it. You don't keep throwing paint on your brush. It's easier to go back and get some of your run up, or you don't want big globs of paint on your brush ever. See, we're starting to lose a little bit of color, but so you go in there. See that little line? I'm just going right in that little dark area. It's going to make it pop. We got these bigger rocks. Get some more paint now. I want this to be heavier. So you can already see how these already stand out. Then you can go in here on the other side. Ride that edge around. There's another little edge. That's probably a glue edge, but maybe we can make some more detail out of that. And from that hot glue kind of seeping out when I put it together earlier. I don't know if I showed that. No, I used hot glue, but I didn't actually demonstrate. I did that while I was doing a Google Hangout. So we got a little bit of that little mix up there, but it's okay, or mistake. Then you can kind of go over your rocks, but we're gonna come back with show you how to do the dry brush on that. So we got these picked out, that super high detail. Let's wash that brush. Okay, I'm gonna grab my Army Painter large terrain brush, or vehicle brush they call it, and I was using my hand as get the paint off of it, and then this is bring out those little textures on there. So there you go. Kind of bring it out a little bit, and you can also, if you want to, excuse my allergies, they're killing me today. So, like the center, you want that darkened anyways, because you have the vehicle over it. But there we go. We have that, and we'll probably do some kind of wash and knock it back, and maybe do some pigments on it later. So that'll be it for right now. I'm going to finish up these resties, and we'll be back. Thanks. Okay, we're back. We're just going to hit some satin wash on this, or satin varnish. Just going to fill up my picture at 105. I'm going to get the on the spray booth, get that going, because I do not want to breathe this stuff in. It's one thing doing paint at a low PSI and just getting it down, but when you do these varnishes, they're very easy to atomize, and they go kind of float all over the place. Not even, some will get stuck in, but it just feels like you can feel it immediately get in your lung. I'm just wearing a small particle mask, nothing major. And get the pressure turned up on this. Runs about 25 pounds, so get good atomization and good flow. Just run a couple coats on it. And this is going to be nice for when we put in a acrylic wash. It'll flow nicer into the crevices, and we'll probably knock back some of the highlight a little bit, but you'll see be present. So I'm going to finish varnishing these, and then we'll be back. Thanks.